Okay, so we have finished setting up our account and adding our family, and now we are ready to input our education into the Common App. So first thing that we're going to do is we are going to add our school, and we go to Fernandina Beach High School. So we would type that in there, and it's going to populate for me because it's doing a location thing here. So we will add that and continue. Okay. Date of entry. When did we start? So we're in 25 now. So junior year would have started in 24, sophomore in 23, and freshman year in 22. Okay. So I'm going to do that. August of 2022 is when we started high school for a 2026 graduate. Is this a boarding school? That would be a school that like you live at or something like that. We're not a boarding school. Did or will you graduate from this school? That's the intention. Yes. Okay. And your graduation date. Okay. So we don't actually have that at press time here. I assume it's going to be in May. Now, here's something about the Common App is people always get worried that they're going to accidentally answer a question incorrectly, and that's going to throw everything off. So let's say that we put May of 2026 now, and then in a few weeks we announce that graduation is going to be June 2nd, and then you think, oh my God, we're graduating in May on the Common App now. Colleges are going to see that, they're going to think I lied to them, and they're not going to get in. No, that's not how it works. The best advice that I can give you for any of this stuff, and you'll hear me say this again in these videos, is don't sweat the small stuff. Okay. Colleges are not really worried about whether or not you graduate in May or June. They're just trying to get a sense of it. So these little tiny decisions like that might be different from one person to the next or might prove to be slightly inaccurate are not going to make or break you. I promise. So answer these things as best you can for now, and go from there. Okay. Those questions ask if you're graduating early or if you're doing anything that's kind of untraditional. If you're graduating in December, you might do that, but most of our students are going to be graduating in the spring. So I'm just going to put no change in progression. We're doing a normal thing here. I'll do that. Okay. Have you attended any other high schools listed on the previous section? So this would be like if you moved here. So maybe you went to Camden County High School for your freshman and sophomore year, and then came to us at FBHS. So then you would say, okay, well, um, uh, I did go to another school. Okay, so I'm going to add one additional school, and I could put Camden County in here, Kingsland, Georgia. Put that in there. It's going to ask for start dates. So, if I started my freshman year there, I'd probably do August of 2022. And then if I went there my sophomore year, then I would have been there and ended there in May of 24. And then you can, if you want to talk about why you moved, then you do that in this box. My parents moved, or we had to change housing, or my grandmother got sick and we moved closer to be with her. Whatever the situation was, probably employment is the most typical answer here, but just gives you an idea, or the folks at the Common App an idea of why you moved. Okay. All right. So I'm actually gonna, because I messed up the date on that other one, I'm just gonna say that we went to Fernandina Beach High School. But if you didn't, you would want to put another school there. Oh, one more thing on that. Now, if you're thinking like, well, I got my Algebra 1 credit from the middle school or something like that, that's splitting hairs. Don't sweat the small stuff. You went to Fernandina Beach High School. That's your only high school. And that also would not include dual enrollment. We'll talk about dual enrollment now. Okay, this is where we talk about dual enrollment when it says colleges or universities. So if you've taken any dual enrollment, including SLS, okay, we're going to do here, all of our dual enrollment here is through FSCJ. So Florida State College at Jacksonville, if you don't know, is what that stands for. That's FSCJ. Okay. How'd you do it? That was dual enrollment. You'd put the date here. Let's say we did this in the spring of our sophomore year. Whoops, I had to put January here. we did that through May. Did not earn a degree. Okay. You did not earn a degree as a dual enrollment student. No red asterisk here, so I can leave this one blank. Okay. Grades. All right. So this is where we're reporting kind of some of our big numbers here. Okay. Your graduating class size. You can see that next to your rank in focus. So you're going to put that number. I'll say 200. Now the number of people in the class size changes almost every single day. Okay, as people move in or they move away, that number is going to change. So again, you might think, oh, I put 200 as the class size, and then I looked a couple days later and it said there were 202 people in the class, but I already submitted my comment out. What do I do? That doesn't matter. Okay. Again, don't sweat the small stuff. Colleges understand that these things change all the time. As long as you're in the ballpark, if it's 200 people today, you're not going to put 4. So as long as you're something there, close to that, you'll be okay. We report our rank exactly. It's what you see in focus. Okay. And that's the unweighted rank that is visible in focus. So with rank and GPA, what's really important here is that you tell Common App what you are reporting, okay? The kind of that you're reporting. And by kind, I mean weighted or unweighted. Okay, so if you're going to do your GPA, let's say that I'm a little bit more proud of my weighted GPA, and you can choose here. There's not really a wrong or a right answer here to what you do. If they're giving you a choice, okay, if you want to do it weighted or unweighted, then you can kind of pick. So I'm going to do this different than I did with my rank. I'm showing them my unweighted rank, but I'm going to show them my weighted GPA. Weighted GPA is going to be on a 5-point scale. Okay. If you were doing your unweighted GPA, you would do that on a 4-point scale, but weighted's on a 5. And let's say that I've got a 4.234. Okay. You can choose there. There's no right or wrong answer. What you're going to do. More than likely, the colleges are going to end up recalculating your GPA. Anyways, they're not just going to take your word for it and run with it. So so don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. GPA might change too. You're reporting this in the fall. It's probably going to be different at the end of the semester if you take an online class or something like that. Current or most recent courses. So this is where we are inputting all of the classes that we are in. So you are going to, you got to sit down and think about how many classes that you're taking. So, government, you would say, well, I'm taking 7 classes, but you're probably not, because like government and economics are 2 different classes, right? So those would be 8 if you're in PE or creative writing, personal finance, some of that other stuff. You're going to have multiple classes, or you're going to have more than 7 classes that you're putting. We're on a semester system here, so you're going to put that. And then from this point, you're just kind of typing in your senior schedule and giving some details about it. So just going to do this one at a time. I'm going to say I'm in English for Honors. It's going to ask you, I'm going to write English for Honors because that's the name of the course, but then I'm also going to say that, yes, it's an honors course. We don't do high honors, okay? So you're going to put honors because that's what you got to answer with what we offer. That's a full year course. You're in there all year, right? Okay. Next subject, let's do some math. Okay, let's say we're in AP Stats. Okay, Stats isn't an option, so I'm going to do other. I'm going to do AP Statistics. That's an AP class. We're going to take it for the full year. Okay. Then let's say we're doing anatomy. Okay. So that's a science and other science. Okay, anatomy is not an option. pretty sure that's how you spell physiology. I would make sure that I'm spelling all these things right if I was doing this for real. And that is weighted. I should go back and add that. And it's a full year course. Okay. Let's go ahead and add government and economics. So those are going to be social sciences, AP US government, AP class. That's only one part of the year. Let's say I know I'm scheduled for that the first half of the year. So I'm going to do that. And now we've got to do economics. There's two types of AP economics. There's microeconomics and macroeconomics. We teach micro. I can't spell. All right. It's AP, second semester. Scully is taking Spanish 3. Spanish 3 and 4 and French 3 and 4 are weighted. The course does not say honors on the end of it, but because I happen to know it's a weighted credit, I think you're okay calling that honors. The first and second year of those language classes are not, but the third and fourth years are. And then let's say we're in culinary. Okay, there's not a real good option. None of those fit that, so I'm just going to go other here. Okay. It's not weighted or anything, it's just plain old. None of these things apply. You've never heard of some of these things, and that's fine. Different high schools offer some different programs. So it's just regular. Regular's NA. Okay. And then let's say we're in, that's a full year. And then let's say we're also in digital info tech with Mr. Purvis. Okay, non-weighted, NA. And that's a full year course. Okay, so we've got all of our classes in there. So honors, academic honors are not something that that most students in this stage would have. So just because it asks the question, I think sometimes students feel a little compelled, like, oh, I should, better think of an honors that I have. But you probably don't, because most of the honors that academic honors that a student will receive are probably going to come at the end of the senior year, and you're filling this out in the beginning of your senior year. So it's not unusual for a student not to have this. I think if you had, if you had entered a writing contest for the book festival and won something like that, that's an academic honor that you might have. But I think, just because Ms. Straczynski told you that you were her favorite student one time or something like that, that's not the type of honor that I would put here. So I wouldn't stretch this if you don't feel like you have anything. It's perfectly acceptable to put no here. Some students might have this, but I think most students at Fernandina Beach High School probably don't have an academic honor. And this is not; these are academics. We're going to get to our extracurriculars and stuff later, so you're going to have the opportunity to put what you were president and vice president of, or president of whatever later. That's not what this is. These are really academic honors. So I'm going to put no. This is an easy question. Have any community-based organizations helped you fill this stuff out? Take Stock would be the only one that I can really think of that might apply to Fernandina Beach High School students. So you could maybe put that if you're involved in Take Stock. I'm going to put 0. And then it's going to ask about our future plans a little bit. This is just kind of testing the waters. Again, this is not locking you into anything. You're not declaring your major or anything like that. But let's say that, for now, I think I want a bachelor's degree and maybe I want to be an architect. I'm going to put that in. This doesn't mean that I'm only allowed to be an architect and I can't deviate from that if I end up, wherever end up going. This is very likely will change, as it does for majors change for most students, but it just gives the colleges an idea of where you're going to start. All right. We're going to move on to our next video.